it.
Can you match it?
Yeah. And that's where it was it?
That's where it was. You wouldn't know this place, to be honest. What they done here, it was the cast iron shore. It was called the cast iron shore, and there was golf links to the left up there, and there's a nice, just like Thurterson, sandstone cliffs, and then the council in their wisdom used for a revetment out there, and then used it for landfill for years, and then they built the garden festival, the International Garden Festival, about 1984 I think. But the jetty had gone by then. They used part of the timbers actually in the arenas in the garden centre, and you can still see them. You sit on them, you use the seats. But I worked on the jetty for years, renewing these logs. Because you keep getting hit, you see, by the tankers.
And what was this area like? Can you just say what this area was always like then?
Well, there's if you could call it a beach here, very rocky as it is now, but it used to be a lot better. And then sandstone cliffs, right? Sandstone cliffs, just like Thurterson. And they started to landfill, the council then. They built a revetment out there to keep the water out, and then they landfilled for years, you know. And then they built this garden festival on top of it. I liked it better the way it was. Much better.
That, you see that wall there sticking out, the bit that sticks out?
Where the houses are now?
Where the houses are.
That is the southernmost limit of the dock,
Yeah.
the built docks. And the Gladstone, the northernmost point of the Gladstone, is exactly 7 miles from there.
Yeah.
Continuous line of docks all the way down.
Yeah.
This is where the graving docks were, 1, 2, 3, 4 graving docks. And behind us there was a lean-to shed, and the weather was always like this. It was always like this. Sometimes it stopped raining for a while, but Scott of the Antarctic had just been released, and at one point John Mills says, "This is the most awful place on earth," and the voice said he'd never been to the Herculaneum shipwright's lean-to.
They're the steps up to what we used to call the Crow's Nest, where the policeman was, up the other end, by them houses. Now, if you leaned on that wall like you'd had to, if you'd been working down the dry dock, carrying home greenheart for the fire, weighs a ton, and then you have to climb them steps after getting up from the dock, lean on that wall, and you could look down into the dock. So it's roughly where this is. You know, this lake, that's roughly where number 4 dry dock was. Now we've got a photo somewhere, where have we put the
Well,
photo?
we'll do the photo later on. Carry on. Where was the other dry docks?
Oh, there was 4 altogether. Number 4, number 3, number 2 was the longest one, and then number 1, the end one, small one, which the dock board usually had 3 or 4 dredges in there, or hoppers. And we used to put all the new fenders on there. The other docks, a lot of the docks closed about 1980. I left the docks myself in 1980. I used to live in one of them streets up there. But this is there used to be a bell engine, and obviously it had to be fireproof, so you couldn't use a fired engine. So they used compressed steam, and it used to load up with steam at 8 in the morning, and then again at 1 o'clock. And this is as far as it came. Once it went in the gate there, that's the oil terminal. And, yeah.
Were you here when Abel's had the dry dock for sand and gravel?
I wasn't working here, but I used to see it from the railings.
There was a wet dock over there, and the boy stores behind it, and the last hurrah, and it was very busy. I don't think it had ever been as busy. Abel's, the sand and gravel merchants, very, very clever. They had big hoppers on legs alongside the dry dock, and their suction dredges and their grab dredges used to come in loaded with sand and gravel and open their doors and drop it onto the bottom of the dry dock and then go out. They only had about an hour to get in and out, didn't they? Because the gates were, we'll show you the gates in a minute. And the dredger would go out and then grabs would grab it off the bottom of the graving dock and drop it into these big hoppers to drain down. So he got a sand processing works for practically nothing. It was very clever, it was well done. This is the entrance to the dock. And we, as you can see, we're excluded from it. If we'd have gone all the way back there, we could have walked all this way.
But this is the old Elder Dempster's shed, and the shipwright shop was in there.
This is what we're up against. This is what we've got to put up. This is our bloody land. This is our access. That's our right of way there. You've seen all the railings put up at our expense. The gates put up at our expense. They're all locked and we're barred out from it. That's the entrance to the Herculaneum dock. There.
I think it's about an 80-foot entrance, so it could be 60.
Yeah. And the building on that, that's an island where that building is, and there's another entrance on the other side of it.
One was 60, one was 80, I think.
There was a basin in front of the dry docks where the ships could turn, and there was another entrance there into the Harrington dock, so the ships could come all the way through the system to the dry dock.
Alongside that quay there was two ships used to berth there, the Amacura and the Arakaka, and they brought rum from the West Indies, barrels of rum. One of them, someone must have left open the sea cocks because she sank against the quay, leaning against the quay. Do you remember that, Pat?
Yep.
Right? So the diver was very busy, going down, looking at things, but he noticed every time he come up, he was pissed. And he'd found an air pocket and he was supping the rum every time he went down. That was that quay there.
I do know that the customs, it was a bond, the shed was a bond, and they had special, they looked almost like champagne flutes, and they used to draw, it was highly concentrated, the rum, almost like treacle. They used to draw it off and take the specific gravity, and that dictated what duty would be paid on it. And one day one of them left one of these flutes on top of a barrel, and one of the dockers going through saw it, grabbed it, drank it, and was dead before they got him off the dock. He's just burned his inside out. What a horrible way to go.
Well, I got a word from one of the dockers. Get over to the North Berth, Mom, and bring a short piece of hose with you. Right? We found a barrel of port on the ship down the hatch. So I went over to the North Berth, and steel drums, a hatch, number one hatch, full of them, and there's security everywhere. So when they started to put the lids on the lower tween deck, the security men left. So the crane driver brought the jib over, sent down them chains with like hooks on, hooked the rum at the port out onto deck and put a drum of oil in its place. Right? Then we got to work siphoning. There was containers coming from everywhere. Riggers, dockers, chippies, electricians, you name it. They've all come along the quay with plastic containers, and we were doing the siphoning out. Right? That went on all afternoon. There was port everywhere. And then one of the wharfingers, a fella called, well, I won't say his name, Bobby. Bobby was a head wharfinger. He said, you know that port you all got at yesterday? I said, yeah. He said it was embalming fluid. He's seen the manifest, you know. Look at embalming fluid.
Maybe there was a body in the bloody barrel.
I told my missus, she said, no wonder why you're so well preserved.